So in the last one, we were talking about, the tripod videos and stuff like that, taking over like the focal point of people's training. How do you stay so focused throughout the whole year with training, nutrition, and things like that? Because like we both know, like that's not easy to stay focused the whole year. And you had an injury where that played some part. Like how did you get past that? How do you do this?
How important your goals are. If your goals are really important to you, there's nothing that's going to stop you. You're not going to go do something that you typically wouldn't do that's out of your routine if your goals are that important. A lot of people have that, I want to do this, I want to be this, and then it's like Saturday comes along and there's a party. They'd rather go party than prep their food for the next day. Then the next couple of days they don't have their food. They're like, oh, well, it was a good time partying. It's like, yeah, well, now you have 4 days that you don't have your food and you got to play around and try to make those calories in. You know what I mean? It's about how serious you are, in my opinion.
So how are you delaying gratification that you would pick prepping my stuff over the party?
What do you mean?
Like how do you put like that gratification that you would get from the party and all that stuff and not prepping, because prepping's not fun. Like
really
how do you put that, like I'm gonna prep instead versus like going to the party saying screw around, just grab something on the way?
Oh, again, it's just like how important your goals. If you really, really want what you're saying that you want, there's nothing that's going to stop you from getting there. It's you that stops you.
Ooh.
All of us, it's the same thing with life for everything, bro.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Now, for someone who's getting into fitness, right? You first have the love, like you love every aspect of it. Like you love the grind, you love feeling beat up and sore. And then about like year 3, when things start to like, the soreness doesn't like just leave. You like constantly have like these little aches and things like that. How do you work through those?
Discipline over motivation. You get motivated in the beginning because you're like, oh, you watch these videos, like I want to be like him and I want to look like that. And then after a while you realize that like, oh, it's happening, but it takes a very long time to get there. And then you just got to realize that like the more disciplined you are, the farther you're going to get, because motivation dies.
All the time.
There's some days that you don't want to come in. You had a really hard day at work, or you had a lot of stress in your life from like external forces, and then it's like, oh, I don't want to go train today. But those are the days that's important to go train. It builds character. It builds more than just you in the gym. It builds you as a person.
So it's almost as if like similar. How I look at discipline is like, this is going to help you stay in this longer.
Yeah, the long game.
Right. The short game is, it's cool to feel motivated. Like it's cool, but if you can't depend on that as the driver.
Absolutely not.
That's going to change based on, we know it, like people train different in the summertime than they do in the winter. And in the winter, the first thing they're saying is too cold. It's like, bro, you're inside of a gym. Like
the
gym,
hot, work out.
Like, so like that whole discipline helps you stay in the game for the long haul. Now, how long have you been bodybuilding, Joe?
Probably 11 years now.
11 years. So you've probably seen injuries, days that don't go exactly how you planned.
All the time. All the time. That's more frequent than good days. Seriously.
Yeah. It's like doing everything right and it not go right when it's time to perform. Like good amount of sleep, good amount of food. You go to train for those top sets and they don't feel or look the same way. Like what advice would you give somebody who hits that wall?
For me, it depends on like how long your training phase is. So say you're like 8-9 weeks into a 10-12 week block and you're feeling over fatigued and just drained and stuff like that. Well, it might be time for you to cut it out, because like our external stresses from like life and our stresses from the gym, they come from the same box. So if you have a lot of stress going on in life and you're killing yourself in the gym, which is a physical stress, I mean, that box can only hold so much. You're gonna break. Something's gonna go. It could be something like connective tissue. It could be a muscle, or it could be your brain. Yeah. You could just snap and be like, I'm fried right now, and I don't want to do this right now. I can't do it right now.
So you said something that's huge. You said it as a box. Your external stressors, the stresses on your body just from training, they come from the same box.
Yep.
So why don't we actually become okay with being like, yo, like I'm stressed out. This is why these sets aren't making sense. You call it then, or do you just dial back, or what do you do when that's happening?
So like me personally, if I know there's if I don't feel right, if I know for a fact that I'm gonna go to the gym today, it's probably not gonna go my way. It took me a long time to be able to do this. I won't go that day. I will let my body recover, and if it doesn't have to be physical, I can have no soreness, I have no connective tissue pain. But if mentally I'm drained or my brain's fogged, or it just was not, it's not appropriate for me to go. Like I know, oh, I can go and I can try. And even if I hit my numbers, it's gonna be with like God's will. It's like, it wasn't something that was meant to be done. And 9 times out of 10, that fatigue that I just created is gonna accumulate more and more and more as the days go on, and it's just gonna get worse.
So that's something you wanna think about, because you know how the now it's like you should kill yourself every day.
Oh yeah, when you're young, it's like, I'm a man, boy. I get in here, this is what I used to be the same thing in my early 20s. Like, I don't care what happened that day. I go in like, this is what I do, blah, blah, blah. And then like, as I got older and had more experience in the gym, it's like, well, you just pick and choose your battles, because because that session that went 85% of the way, if you just waited one day and gave your body that one day of rest that you didn't plan, but you know that you should have, the next day you could get 100% of that session just because you gave that day.
And you would be better for the sessions after that.
Oh, 100%.
So versus
you're forcing yourself to do something when your body's like, hey, let me chill out for a day, you know? And like, no, you're gonna do what I say. And your body's gonna go, okay.
So your body's like one person you're not gonna like.
You're never gonna tell.
You can think you're winning against it, and then like all of a sudden your body would be like, we're completely sick.
Oh yeah.
Like you're completely sick now. You're not able to move. So that's important to take into consideration, because the internet always screams, you know, all or nothing, and sometimes it's like that nothing may be I should take a rest day.
Unplanned rest day.
Yeah, unplanned rest day. But something you said that was huge is, you know, 8, 12-week blocks. This is where you get to learn your body, learn yourself. If you're being coached by somebody, learn how they're coaching you, why they're making you see the same exercises week in, day out, versus every 3 days we're gonna change the plan, every 2 weeks, because there's so much you're missing, and honestly, like there's so much like you haven't adapted to yet with that program to actually get the results. So like, how do you see that? Like I know for me, I'm in like the week 10 of a plan, and I'm in week 10 and my body's like still adjusting to some of the things, which is good. It's like I'm not oblivious. I'm doing the same exercises. I've done it from the same, which is a good thing, because your body gets better each week at doing what it's doing. It's going to stimulate muscle better. It understands the neurological patterns better and better each time you do it. How do you speak that? How do you say that to a person that wants to train with you? So if I have somebody that wants to train, they don't really understand programming, and they tell me that like, oh, they switch up training every now and then, like every couple of weeks. It's like, we got to really think about like what you're doing, right? If you do an exercise, the first time you do it, it's not perfect. Yeah. And the second time you do it, it's a little bit better. The third time you do it, it's getting a little bit better. And your body will adapt. So like say you do it for 8, 10, 12 weeks. Well, at some point, the volume's gonna get too high and your body's not gonna be able to withstand that volume anymore. And that's when it's appropriate to, you know, take a deload week and then switch exercise selection, maybe switch exercise in general, and let your body resensitize and then go back and be able to put actual work in with connective tissue at rest. But the whole like, oh, I do for a mesocycle of 4 or 5 weeks, I do these exercises and then I switch it. It's like 4 or 5 weeks, man, that's crazy. I don't know anybody that can master movement in 4 or 5 weeks. No, not even like top professionals. And then like as you're progressing, like if you go 4 weeks with an exercise and you're adding volume, each time that you add volume, you're just getting a little bit bigger, a little bit better. But again, we have to stop at some point. You can't just run 20-week blocks. So it beats the whole thing of like, I've gained 15 pounds of muscle. I love hearing stuff. I love hearing people tell me they gain like 30 pounds of muscle in like a couple months. I'm like, I don't even bother talking to them because I know I'm not gonna get through. You know? You're like, you discovered something that no one on earth
Yep.
has been able
Please
to
make a
do
YouTube
it.
channel and teach us the ways. Like, 'cause I don't know. I'm trying my best, and you're killing it better than me, bro.
You've done something right.
Yeah.
That we've been failing at for
Yes.
years.
What protein are you using? What are you doing?
I like that. I want to explain that in our next episode. That box of external stressors, your body stressors being in the same one.
Yeah.